Hello, everyone. Welcome to this episode of the Let the Right Ones In podcast. I'm your host, T. Sorry for the long hiatus. I was just kind of not feeling the best about the direction the podcast was going, so I just wanted to kind of take some time to think about exactly what I wanted to do with it. I do have a better idea now, so just a little housekeeping notes. I probably did make a separate update video. Just in case you didn't watch it, I will tell you where my head has kind of been at with it. I am still going to release episodes, but instead of doing it weekly, I'm going to move it to bi-weekly instead. That way it'll give me a little bit more time to record and edit, do any other kind of extra things that I need to do, like if I need to rewatch something. The other thing is I'm going to kind of change the topic a little. So we're still going to talk about the things that we've been talking about, shows, movies, music, also books. I am going to start including more book stuff here, but I just kind of wanted to change the way that we look at things. I'm going to talk less about kind of like the writing side, the technical nature, I should say, and focus more in like a broader pop culture storytelling sense, if that makes sense. Like, when you start to listen to like this episode and the newer ones, you should kind of see the shift a little in focus. Not so much technical, but more of the implications and the different storytelling aspects a little. So that's going to be a little different. And then in between the bi-weekly uploads of the podcast, I'm going to upload other videos as well. So you may see things like I've been doing, like the Bin and Recommends, movie analysis, book reviews, things like that. Even music reviews, I have a few of those planned out. You'll be seeing some different things in between me uploading podcasts, so there will be regular content on here. So I just wanted to keep you guys in the know. Anyway, this week we're going to talk about Netflix's You. It came out like late last year. It stars Penn Badgley, Elizabeth Lail, Shay Mitchell, and then Luca Padavon. Basically, it's about this bookshop owner named Joe who notices this girl that comes in and he decides he wants to romantically pursue her. We follow his journey of trying to pursue her and the great lengths that he goes through to do it. From now on, there will be some spoilers, so if you haven't seen it, please feel free to go do that and come back. Go on. Okay, so hopefully you did watch it, and we're going to talk about it now and get into some spoiler territory. First, I'm just going to say what I thought of it overall. I did really like it. I thought it was really good. From the first episode, I was kind of like hooked. The cinematography was really great. It was well acted. I think Penn Badgley did a really good job. He was giving me Jake Gyllenhaal vibes. Like, you know how when Jake Gyllenhaal does like a creepy character like in Nightcrawler or Donnie Darko, I think that's when he's at his best. And I feel like it's kind of the same for Penn. I only ever really seen him in like Gossip Girl, and I wasn't a huge avid watcher of that, but I was pleasantly surprised how good he was in the series. So everyone, even, the child actor, Luca, he did a really great job. So I thought it was super well acted. The cinematography was also pretty great. Music, sound mixing. I thought it was really good. My only real complaint was kind of the pacing. Sometimes it felt too slow, and other times it felt too fast. Some things, there were a pretty good amount of time skips, which is fine because I understand that, relationships do develop over an extended period of time. You're not automatically falling in love with someone. Usually it happens over several months to years, things like that. But I felt like some things could have been sped up or slowed down a little bit. It kind of fell into kind of Monster territory, the anime. Everything in Monster was purposeful. Every little thing that you thought was insignificant would be significant later. And this is what that does. But the problem I find with that sometimes is that it can affect the pacing. So sometimes you'll be like, oh, what the hell is this about? And then, it won't show up for a few episodes later. And then you're like, oh, okay. So I think while it's good that everything has a purpose, I really like that. Sometimes it can affect pacing in a negative way, and I kind of feel that that's what happened a bit. Also, some of the plot twists were a little predictable. You kind of had an idea that he had something to do with his ex-girlfriend's disappearance, Penn Badgley's character Joe. You also had an idea that him and Peach were going to have some kind of showdown. He was probably going to end up killing her. So even though they had those kind of obvious plot twists, it actually worked out pretty well. It was still entertaining. I was like hooked from the first episode. I finished it in like 2 days, which is pretty bad. But it was really good for like, I think it was 10 to 12 episodes, I believe. Not a terrible length, and the episodes were like 40 to 56 minutes each. I think some may have ran over into hour territory, but it never really felt like the time. It went pretty quick. The reason why I wanted to talk about it was because, like I said, I thought it was so fucking good, like so mind-blowing, but I also found it a little troubling. So, as you may have gleaned from my description, it's a stalking for love series, pretty much. So basically that means that in order to win the woman's heart, the man decides to stalk her and get inside of her head, know everything about her. There's a really good video by the Pop Culture Detective that explains the stalking for love trope a little better and really goes into it. That's a really good vid, so if you haven't seen it, please watch it because it's really informative and it really sheds a lot of light on how kind of fucked up the trope is. That kind of narrative, especially in this day and age, is a little fucked up. And the way they don't make it seem okay, but they make it seem fine. Joe is basically doing this to get to know Beck, to make sure that his heart doesn't get broken, and also he does it to protect her, to make sure that she's making the right decisions within her life. And that's where it kind of gets problematic. It starts out fine at first because initially he does what anyone else does. Joe checks Beck's social media. He Googles her. That's completely fine. A lot of people do that, especially in this age of online dating. Googling someone, looking at their social media and everything like that. Completely fine and acceptable. But where it starts to get unacceptable is when he starts to literally follow her. Like, he camps outside of her house. He follows her to like hanging out with her friends, different appointments, things like that. He literally follows her to see what she's like and what she's doing. And in the one scene, it's fortuitous that he followed her because he ends up saving her life. She gets real drunk one night after doing an open mic for poetry because she wants to be a writer, a poet, or whatever. And she gets really drunk and she's texting the guy she's dating at the time, sort of. Why didn't you show up? Like, you're a piece of shit, blah, blah, blah. And she falls onto the train tracks. And it's a really great scene. I really like the scene. But, fortuitous that he was there to get her off the track because she would have been dead. That also gives him the opportunity to take her phone and go through all her texts and emails and shit. That's a little fucked up. Well, actually, it's a lot of fucked up. For people who have actually been stalked, I'm not sure how they feel about it being framed in this way that, oh, he's only there to protect her, and that's why he's following her, and that's why he's looking through her shit. He's doing all these things for her because he knows what's best for her. And someone who loves you isn't going to stalk you, isn't going to go through, your shit or anything like that. They're going to trust you. They're going to let things happen naturally. Like I said, it's fine to check someone's social media profiles and things like that, up to a degree. And what I mean by that is saving their pictures without their consent, following their every move so you can know exactly what they're doing. That's pushing it as well. The stalking for love thing is never cool, and someone who actually loves you isn't going to follow you around and shit. And they're not going to try to do this because they think it's what's best for you and it's sweet. It's framed in such a way that it seems sweet, cuz it's just like, well, even though it's fucked up that he's following her and monitoring her like this, reading her texts and shit, spying on her friends, going through her friend shit, breaking into their houses and stuff. He's doing it because he loves her. He's just trying to protect her from the bad people in her life and making bad decisions. He's just trying to help. Yeah, but there's other ways to go about it without actually stalking someone. So, the stalking for love trope and the way it's framed is really unsettling because, like I said, you do side with Joe. It's like you're meant to side with him, even though what he's doing is super fucked up. The series also plays around with the concept that good people do bad things and then bad people do good things, which is good. No one's perfect. There are good people out there who will do shitty things like lie and cheat, and every once in a while a bad person will tell the truth or do something good. And I think that's good to explore the complexities of people. Peach, Beck's best friend, who Joe gets into kind of a battle with over Beck. She is not the best person. She's very condescending to Beck. She's also in love with her and kind of wants her over her thumb. She's under her thumb. She's manipulative. Things like that. Like she fakes a suicide attempt after Joe attacks her in the park. No one knows it. She's very like, I can't have men here. I need you all to myself to take care of me. Even though she really doesn't. At the same time, Peach is still somewhat supportive. She's still looking out for Beck's best interest, kind of the way Joe is, but for, I guess, a little more selfish reasons, you could say. And then with Joe, you can tell he's a good person. Like, he's likable, he's helpful, and he does have good intentions. He just wants to help the girl that he loves live a better life, achieve her dreams. He also helps a neighbor child, Paco, who him and his mom are kind of being abused and he doesn't always have things to eat. So he's always looking after the kid, giving him books to read, trying to keep him from doing something stupid, like trying to kill his mom's boyfriend. It's clear that he is not really a bad person. However, let's think about the murders. He murdered Peach and Beck's boyfriend at the time, Benji, before they started dating. He also cheated on his girlfriend that he was with after Beck, with Beck. So there's that. He's obviously a liar. Very good at that. Manipulative as well. So it's kind of keyed in on, is Joe a good guy or is Joe a bad guy? I don't know where I saw it, but there was this quote that kind of says that no one is the villain in their own story. And I've always really liked that quote because I think it highlights perfectly what you is trying to say. Even if someone is bad and does bad things, there's always a reason behind it. And it's usually a good intention. Joe murders Peach and Benji because he feels he is protecting Beck. He thinks these people are bad for her, toxic, going to ruin her life, so he gets rid of them. You could say that he is following her to make sure that no one takes advantage of her or hurts her. He's following her because he doesn't want to get his heart broken initially. There are intentions there that aren't necessarily sinister. However, in action they are. Murdering is wrong, stalking is wrong, cheating, lying, being manipulative, holding people against their will. All fucking wrong. But we see Joe do all these good things, and we see at heart that he's supposed to be a good person. But the question, though, is he really? Because would a good person murder, manipulate, lie, cheat, hold people hostage? Would a good person truly do these things? I think that's kind of where my problem lies a little bit, because it's very unclear. Like, the stance with it is very unclear as to whether he's a good or bad guy. I guess you could draw parallels with Death Note a little. Not to always bring things back to anime, but the main character there, Light Yagami, is he a good guy just doing bad things for good reasons? Or is he really a bad guy? This is kind of a hotly debated topic. I personally think Light is just a fucking sociopath. If it wasn't for the Death Note, he would have probably lived a regular life, but with the power of the Death Note, he was able to, like, live out his sociopathic god complex that he has, which I think he had anyway. You can kind of draw those parallels with Joe, like, is he sociopathic, and were these things just bound to happen? Or is he just truly a good person with misguided intentions? Who knows? I don't know. I guess it's kind of up to the viewer's interpretation. The last thing, which I think is a really good thing that the series highlighted, is the lack of privacy that we have. We all talk about privacy. We all value our privacy. However, we expose ourselves a lot. We put ourselves heavily on the line. And what I mean by that is anyone can pretty much find out anything about us online. If you sign up for services, companies sell our data all the time. On social media, a lot of people don't have their profiles private, and they post everything. Like, they let it all hang out. Oh, I'm checking in here. I'm on vacation. I'm having wild sex. Every little thing about a person, for some people, you can find on social media. And if someone has several forms of social media, a Facebook, a Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, you can pretty much find out anything about anyone. You can find out where they live, who their friends are, where they work, their thoughts and opinions on things, their likes and dislikes. That could lead you to finding out their passwords, where they like to hang out, past relationships, any shitty kind of things that they said online, so you could use it against them if you have to. We see that a lot during the show. It was real easy for Joe to find Beck's information. It was fairly easy for him to find information on her friends, her family, her likes and dislikes, people in her life, all through social media. And that's honestly pretty fucking scary, how we just kind of offer ourselves up like that. I think now the younger generation kind of understands this, but not really, that the internet is kind of forever. When I was coming up, I'm in my late 20s now, so when I was growing up, when I was like a tween or a teenager, I kind of didn't understand the concept that it's best not to post every little thought and feeling online. Nothing is truly private. I would post something and then someone would get mad at me and I'd be like, well, why? Because I just wasn't thinking. And I think that may have been the problem with a lot of other people in my generation. Like, at that time, we just kind of didn't understand. But now that we do understand the implications of this, of people being able to, like, track you and your friends and your movements and your likes and interests, things that are valuable like that. Like, yeah, they're good to build connections with people, but they can also be used to stalk you, hurt you, blackmail you. So I think this show definitely did a good job of highlighting that maybe you don't want to put so much online, or kind of keep things locked up a little tighter, like put your profiles on private. Make people work for your information. I know companies sell your data all the time, but making it a little harder to get it may be a smart idea. Overall, like I said, I really do like this series, but I did find it troubling in the sense of the stalking for love, the not so strong stance it had about Joe being either good or bad, and I kind of get why they did that, like I said, because no one's ever really truly good or bad, nothing ever is black or white, but for all the horrific shit that he did, I kind of wish they would have been more clear that, like, hey, this isn't cool, this is fucked up, this isn't what love is supposed to be about. So I kind of wish they had been a little clearer on that. And like I said, it also did a really good job of showing that nothing is ever truly private, to kind of lessen your chances of something like this happening to you, even though it's pretty slim. Lock your shit up. Make your profiles Fort fucking Knox. I guess that's it for this week's episode. I hope you like it. Let me know in the comments below what you thought of You. Any kind of thoughts and feelings about anything we've discussed today. New podcast will be up 2 weeks from now. So not the following week, but the week after that. And also, like I did mention earlier, there will be a video or two in between podcasts. So thank you so much for listening. The next podcast, we will leap into the darker side of animation, starting with Watership Down and Plague Dog. So if you haven't watched those or read them, here's your chance. You have a few weeks to do that. So thank you again so much for listening, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye, 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 bye.